it's running through our veins. Let's be renegades, good for nothing runaways. That girl got her own bed.
Shaun Hill serves as president of Indican Pictures, a boutique motion picture distribution label that has released 300 plus films into the North American market since the company's inception. The company successfully transformed into foreign market sales and entered into a successful partnership with studios to further broaden its reach across platforms throughout the world. For her work with Indican, Shaun was recently awarded the honor of being the only woman named a top 20 indie power player. Prior to launching the label, Hill also produced music videos, commercials, produced 7 feature films, and was a feature programmer for Sundance Film Festival and Hollywood Film Festival. Featured as a guest speaker at CineQuest, FF Sunscreen FF, Lady Filmmakers FF, and HHF, garnered feature film critical acclaim for Roger Ebert, Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, and continues judging for the UCLA Master Screenwriting Program. Indican is known for releasing challenging material like Boondock Saints, Norman Reedus, Tuvalu, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, a Phip Rescue, I'm going to say this, I'm going to so mess this up, Phip Rescue winner, Pure with Keira Knightley, Hybrid Independent Spirit Award winner, Only the Brave, Internment of Japanese Americans, The Blacklist V, I-III, HBO original series, and guest artist Jeff Daniels, among others. And the company's films have won 2 Independent Spirit Awards, 3 FIP Rescue Awards, and 5 Prism Awards, 2 NAACP Awards, and 1 Alma Award, and 2 Hot Docs. Hill oversees the operation from acquisitions to legal and through release across all media, including theatrical, digital, and cable television, home video, and ancillary platforms worldwide. Hill, along with Kret, continues the Indican Pictures sponsorship with the Los Angeles LGBT Center and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Did I do that right?
You did. The only mistake was I wasn't a programmer for Sundance. I was actually a programmer for the Slam Dance Film Festival.
A Slam Dance. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
And Blacklist is Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. HBO went on to make the Rainbow List, the Brown List, and others, Yellow List without us, but we kickstarted that.
Sweet. Well, thank you for that. That helps a lot. So, Randolph, do you want me to read yours too?
Say again?
Do you want me to read yours too?
You don't. It's a lot of the same stuff.
A lot of the same stuff, because you guys are a team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also did programming at one point for Austin and some other festivals, but same difference.
Yeah.
And I started in music videos.
Oh, nice.
Anybody cool we should know about?
If you like Cake, Eazy-E, NWA, LA Dream
NWA.
Team, Warren G. I did a lot of rap and a lot of alternative, all the way to death metal bands like Morbid Angel, TSOL, punk bands, Green Day, early on, bands like that.
Awesome. You guys strike me as being very cool. You're kind of hip, and I've noticed that about you guys. So kudos to you.
You have that wrong. I think if you could label it more like nerds and dorks, but that's cool. That's the first time being called hip.
We'll see. I think that's cool. So. Knocking stuff over here, getting crazy. How many times have I knocked things over today, Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't want to kill my Starbucks, though. That would be painful. So
The whole night would be ruined.
do you want to do questions, doll?
Okay.
You get to do questions inside the big old.
I am wondering what made you want to start Indican Pictures?
Oh my God, that's for a whole nother podcast. It was never meant to be
Cliff Notes.
long term. We were on the film festival circuit. Some of our deals had gone bad. one of our friends, Joshua Beckett, had a Marsha Cross film, and we all decided, oh, hey, if you're going to distribute your own film, because some of us had worked in distribution as our quote unquote day job,
Right.
you could do not only your film, but you could do the one for Joshua with Marsha Cross, and then another one came along. And so it was really supposed to just be.
Yeah, we started out doing 5 films: Boondock Saints, Cleopatra's Second Husband, Girl Next Door, Always Say Goodbye, and Pariah. And then
we were going to close it down and call it a day and then just go back into producing. But I actually like this side of it better. So I thought it was a better fit for me.
And for myself, I want to say a shout out to Penelope Spheris, the filmmaker. She was actually one of the inspirations. I talked to her at Sundance. She'd been doing self-distribution, and her and Dan Mervish from Slam Dance kind of pointed us in the right direction, along with our own knowledge from working at distribution companies.
That's amazing. I know you guys are super knowledgeable, and Shaun helps me understand things on a daily basis. So thank you for that. I always ask a million questions, but it's just amazing how much there is to learn in this industry. And you guys seem to have it on lock. Like, Shaun can just recite all this information. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you know all of that? That's so much, and it's so much detail. So I'm really impressed, like, daily talking to you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Look, it was passed down, right? So I learned it from somebody else and was taught to me. And, I'm happy to provide that information on to other people as well from what I've been blessed to be provided with.
And we also learned the hard way by being in business with people who are no longer in business and learning from them what not to do.
That's always good too, right?
Failing upwards.
We've been ripped off just like any other filmmaker.
Yep. So, next.
How did you come up with the name Indican Pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, put it this way. If I would have known I was going to be around for 18 plus years, I would have picked a better name. I would have picked a better logo. I would have spent my trademark money much more wisely, but we didn't know at the time. So it was just sort of like in the can. It was a joke on film back in the day. When you had your last shot, you would call it saying in the can. And we're like, oh, it's independent, it's American, we could do a hybrid name. It's sort of a play on words, ha, 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 but it's not really finding it anymore because we're all in digital and nobody works in film anymore.
And now everybody confuses us with indica weed, so.
That's fine too.
Well, thank God you trademarked it.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody says indica is couch, so
right.
It's very relaxing too.
Exactly.
Well,
Oh.
Anyway, moving on. How do you know when you watch something, see something, this is a project I'm going to buy?
It really is just based on the marketplace and what we think we can move to our buyers. And once in a while, we will put out something, usually every year, that we absolutely just love and we want to champion.
Or it's a filmmaker that we believe in, even if we think the material's challenging and won't make money. Because sometimes giving them a platform allows them to get other work. So we always pick at least one movie per year that's just done for that reason. And then we balance it with the needs of Lionsgate, Magnolia, or who we're in business with, and what they need.
Nice. So what has been like the most challenging thing about working together and being married?
Not taking it home. I think that's probably, look, there's good and we have a shorthand with one another, right? So there's that trust level, I think, on that end. But then there's the bad side, which is you constantly take it home, and that's probably not always beneficial.
Yeah, that can be problematic.
Yeah.
When you find that you're always talking about work, and then you go to work, and then you're like, okay, we need a break from this.
Yeah.
And sometimes she just looks at me and says, I've seen enough of your face, go away.
At least she can be honest with you.
Can you go outside for a while? Just give me a break.
Yeah, she's like, go visit family.
Oh, that's awesome. So I know you guys hike. We talked about that a little bit when Shaun and I met. Where's your favorite hiking spot?
I think anywhere that's new,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
we lived at one point on Franklin, so we hiked Runyon Canyon a lot.
That's my favorite.
I like Runyon too.
But Will Rogers Park, I mean, we actually Malibu Canyon,
Yeah, Malibu Canyon's fun.
especially if you like mushrooms. That's a great place to go. You can see the
I'll
old
remember
MASH
that
set,
next
the old
time.
Planet of the Apes set.
Sounds
But yeah, we've gone a lot in Northern California as well. We're both, well, she's from Northern California. I was a military person, so I've lived everywhere. So we hike there as well. And if we go overseas, we like to hike.
nice. So, how did you guys meet?
One of my friends from high school went to UC Davis with him. So it was a friend of a friend, because I'm not really open, or wasn't certainly 30 years ago open to dating strangers, because my luck, I would date like a Ted Bundy.
It was ironically, I actually hired him to be a gaffer on a music video filming in Northern California. And so as the director, you stand around a lot talking. And she was there. And so we were talking, and then we went for a motorcycle ride, and I went
He
from there.
almost killed us.
That is true.
And that's when you knew it was love at first sight.
Right.
The rest is history.
Love at first motorcycle accident.
You made it through.
When she got road rash and didn't cry, I'm like, that's the one.
That's cute.
I think I would be crying for sure. I don't do pain well, so yeah, no.
What's the worst mistake that you guys have ever made in business, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh.
Oh my God, there's so many to friggin' choose from. Okay, if trying to, I guess, figure out rights and holdbacks, and where things are playing at what time, and music licenses.
Like I won't say the name of the movie, but we had a movie with Jerry Vale in the movie, and he sung on camera. But we didn't realize that you had to have a separate license for that. And even though Jerry approved of it, we sold it to a major network. The network aired it, and then Sony Music hit us with a lawsuit. And we ended up having to give the entire amount of money we earned in the sale to Sony, because we had done
That's
our
why I told
copyright
you to sing
infringement.
earlier.
That was painful.
He didn't know who Sean Cassidy was, so I had to sing a little
We'll
bit
be
of it.
Cutting that out
Right.
for sure.
Will I get in trouble for that, for singing a line? I didn't sing very much of it.
No, we learned actually through different attorneys we've dealt with, you can get up to like 4 bars without having to pay anybody money.
I'm good.
Okay. You're good.
I'm good. Okay. I didn't get that far, so good.
Wow. What
So
is
you can
that?
say do run, 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 and then just stop there.
Did that make you want to quit the business, or were you just like, oh, it's a lesson learned, we're gonna brush it off and move on? Like, how was the recovery process?
Those weren't too bad. I think when we went through other financial times, like the 08-09 crisis, that was super rough. I
When
mean,
Circuit City and all the stores were closing,
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and of course none of them. Here's another story. We had a film called Dingleberry, and Tower Records was one that went bankrupt on us. And the filmmaker actually showed up to a Tower Records, grabbed his DVDs and walked out, got arrested. And he was arguing with them. Hey, they didn't pay us for these. These are my property. And he learned the hard way that you can't, even though they're in bankruptcy and they don't owe you the money, you can't take your property back.
Yeah, I would say that was probably one of the hardest times, is transitioning out of physical media and going into digital, with digital not being what it is today, and just watching all of our vendors go under. Like you said, whether it was Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Circuit City, Warehouse, Virgin Tower. I mean,
Some of the motives, hundreds of thousands, and I think we would get $2,000 3 years down.
Yeah,
the
it
road.
was horrible. I mean, the only person that kept us in business was a woman named Nancy Silverstone, who ran part of Stars, and she would buy so much content from us. And Helen Huang from Showtime as well. They brought so much content from us during that time, because it was really home video and TV. And Nancy, I love you. I love you to this day. She kept us in business.
And sad story, both Helen and Nancy were unceremoniously dumped by their companies when they made too much money and were no longer needed.
Oh,
You make too much money.
I
I'm
know.
lost.
Is there ever such a thing as too much money?
money?
And they were both both really good for independent filmmakers.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were badass babes.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
They still
yeah.
are. So
Brett Maritoli at Stars is still a really good one too. She's still there.
yep.
awesome. That's, and that's amazing that the people that, you were just talking about were all women. And I love
Yeah.
that so much. Every time I hear about, a strong woman. And that's why I was so excited when I got to meet with Shaun and found out that Shaun was a woman, not a dude. I was like, yeah. So, yeah, that made me happy. So we're
We
rooting for
actually
you guys
get that
too.
a lot. People will call in and then be shocked when they find out they've been dealing with Shaun for months and calling her Mr. because they deal
Yeah.
via email. And then they finally get her on their phone and they're like, why didn't you ever tell me that you were a woman? And she's like,
I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to refer to me as a man, a woman, it's here nor there for
Whatever.
me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm not picky.
It's like, as long as you're doing business with me and we're making money, I don't care. Call me
Yeah, and
whatever.
as long as we get along and we're pleasant to one another, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Exactly. Now, and that's, such a big thing I think in business is, and I know that's how I like to operate. I like to work with people that I like and, that are kind and helpful and, we help lift each other up and we help each other with business. And I think that's a really great thing. And I love the vibe that I get from everybody at Indican. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
and there are good actors out there. You mentioned Norman Reedus earlier. He's actually a very phenomenal person. Ralph Macchio's. Anybody who can hire either of them, please do so because they're actually really good human beings aside from
Aw.
being talented.
That's amazing. I love Norman Reedus. He's so cool on The Walking Dead.
But he's a guy that will go out of his way because we do Comic-Con every year. We have a booth. And I cannot tell you how many times he's helped employees of ours get everything that they ever wanted from The Walking Dead, meet every cast
Aw.
member. And he does it just because we put out a small film of his years and years ago. And
Aw.
15 years later, he's still like, oh my God, you're from Indican? Come on back. And helps them every single time.
That is so cool. I love people that remember who helped them, on the way up and they don't forget it. That is really, really cool. So I like him even more now.
Yeah, I would say he was great. And then ironically, I will say, and Shaun can verify this, we did put a few TNA movies out. And actually the TNA women
Love them.
were some of the best. It was Amy Sweet, Ariana Giovanni, Alexis Winston, Julie K. Smith. I know their names because they saw Shaun working her ass off on the set one day, and they all started picking things up and carrying things when they were the talent, as, no offense to men, but the male grips were sitting around doing nothing. They were hardworking.
See, again, I love hearing stories about amazing women who, they just chip in and they help and they're just good people. And, I love connecting women in this industry together to any time that I can pass along somebody's name or, oh, you should, work with them. That always makes me happy because I think the more that we help each other and help lift each other up and elevate each other, the better we're going to be for it. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Leslie Hope is another very sharp individual. She directs a lot now for Netflix. She's very sharp.
Yeah, we
Nice.
really enjoyed working with her on her film as well.
And she is out there helping younger women filmmakers get their feet into the door as well.
She's definitely a badass babe.
Awesome. I love that. I know. It's like I feel like we have to make a whole list of people from this episode because you guys have really listed off a bunch of amazing women in this industry, and that is so great. It's like usually at the end we ask you to do a shout out to a badass babe.
I thought that. I was like, they've already named like 10.
I know. I'm like, they're not going to have anybody left.
But some of them
For
really
sure.
do deserve. Kirsten Bangsness is another great one. Lee Merriweather, the original Batwoman.
Catwoman.
Catwoman, yeah, she's 80. It was 80 years old at cons and is the nicest person. And he's not a woman, but Doug Jones is also an incredibly fantastic human.
Very cool. So what has been your most successful film that you have distributed?
Boondock
Boondock.
Saints. We didn't make the
Boondock
best
Saints.
financial deal on it, but it was a very successful film.
So tell us more about Boondock Saints.
We got involved because a guy named Bill Durandi, who was editing films and music videos for me, was the editor of it. The film had run into some trouble with the financier. Long story short, people have heard the story, but they were promised one budget. The reality was a much lower budget. They were struggling to get it made. Troy had been labeled a difficult individual, which I will say on air, that's just not true. Troy was never difficult for us.
No,
He was a complete team player. And we sort of helped rescue the film when everybody else in town wouldn't touch it. We even got called by Harvey Weinstein, and he said, if you release this film, we will never do business with your company ever. We didn't listen, obviously. We put the film out, but later Fox came along and were very smart and said, hey, we'll give you guys a big check to sell the movie. And the filmmakers were like, this is a great deal. We sold it. We did not realize it was going to go on to sell 20 million DVDs.
Wow.
So Fox got the bulk of the money. Kudos to them, smart business deal. But that movie, for about 15 years, every single day, if you turned on TV, it was on a channel.
It just kind of became a cult phenomenon. And this is just, look, every once in a while films break out. And that was one of them that just was a breakout indie, right?
Dad, Girl Next Door.
Yeah. Blacklist.
Yeah, the Blacklist did spawn multiple things on HBO and was a very successful series.
Yeah.
Nice. So now I have my goal that I want to find the next Boondock Saints for you guys. So I will be on a mission.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
Good deal.
Except this time we will keep the rights.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that funny? It's like you're not sure how things are going to turn out. So you're like, oh, take a chance. And then you're like, oh, I wish I would have known.
Right. You never know.
You never know.
So then did you work with Harvey Weinstein afterwards, or he cut that off?
Well, he did come back and tried to buy Pure from us, the film with Keira Knightley, and we did not sell that movie off.
Not because it was bad blood at the time or anything like that. It's just that we were we were so far down the pipeline with the film. We just kept the rights ourselves and had distributed it. So
amazing. Well, we all know that he didn't make the best decisions in life. So, you know.
We never dealt with him in that capacity.
No, thank God. Oh my God.
I will say though, you know,
I was.
If he had fondled me, I would have just asked for a payout.
I know. I worked with Bill Cosby back in the 90s, and I always tell everybody I did not go to his hotel room. So I was proud of myself.
Right.
Yeah. I know it's crazy, all the crazy things that have gone on, you know, in this industry with the Me Too movement and all of that. It's just nuts. But I'm hoping things are, you know, going to be better and people are going to do better and be better. So that everybody's safe in this industry because, you know, we just all need to work together and kind of protect each other, I think, you know, and look out for each other. I think that's important. For sure.
I will say that this generation has definitively made the industry shift its misogynistic viewpoints,
which I think is great. It needed an overhaul for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And kids need to be safe as well. And you know, we've dealt with that too, and trying to make sure that because we represent a lot of kids and we want to keep them safe. So we really help the moms, you know, navigate that. And we always say, do not leave their side ever. So that's a big thing too.
It's weird too for us. Like we did a movie Girl Next Door and Hugh Hefner came to our party and we were so excited at the time. And now years and years later, we learn a lot of things that went on and it changes it because now we're looking back and going, ooh, you know, he was very gracious and kind to Shaun's mother who happened to be there. So there was a good side to him, but then we heard all these awful things. And it's sometimes hard, like you mentioned, Bill Cosby, to reconcile the the good image and the things that he's done, and then the horrible things that you see, and you're like, oh man, now I don't know how I feel about it.
Right. And I guess, we as humans, it's like we have, our good sides and bad sides, and you just hope the good outweighs the bad in the long run, for sure.
Yeah.
And try to be good people. Lord.
Yeah.
But it's hard when your idols fall, and you're some people that you look up to and, have looked at as being, wholesome and such great people. And then, the bubble bursts and you're like, oh, they're human and they have made some really bad mistakes in their life as well. So, yeah. So it is hard. It is hard. And then, I guess you can stop, liking them or, forget about them, whatever it might be. But yeah, it's definitely kind of burst your bubble for sure.
Yeah.
We'll say in the reverse of it too, there are women who've been tagged in the past as difficult, that really the same exact behavior from a man was pretty accepted. And when it was a woman standing up for herself, suddenly there was a whole different connotation put on it, which that's part of why Shaun has gone out of her way to make sure that 80% of our staff is always women, because she's always trying to give a leg up to somebody to make sure that they're getting a fair shake, because it is harder.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Yay, Shaun.
Thanks, Shaun.
Yes.
I like men.
Thank
I like
you.
men too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I, if I can ever, someone who is, in a lesser position, yeah, it would be my go-to.
Yeah. I love that. Giving them a hand up. And I love that. I've heard doing these podcasts, we've heard some great stories about women who have helped the younger generation and lifting them up and, getting them out of sticky situations when they made a bad choice or, and it's crazy how they just have kind of wrapped their arms around them and really helped them. And I love hearing stories like that because we've also heard the stories where women are very competitive against each other rather than, teaming up. And I'm hoping that part of why we're doing the podcast is we want to change that and, have women really focus on helping others and, and those that are coming up, remember who helped you on your way up as well. I think that's really important. Don't forget about the people that helped you because that's really important, and pay it forward, and that's how we grow. And that's how, we continue to kind of even the playing field out there.
Yeah, agree. Absolutely. 1000%.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary.
I still can't believe she lost.
Well, we can't believe a lot of things when with the orange one, but what are you gonna do? So, is there anyone else left that you can do a shout out for that is a badass babe in your world that has helped you guys on your way up?
Oh, I would say Anita Geller is probably one from Entertainment Partners. I know she's no longer there or tangentially there, but she was a big mentor for me as well. Just, unbelievably intelligent, smart. Big, huge part of that.
Your mother.
Yeah, my mom.
She was a very grounded individual.
Yeah, I think at a time where, she just kind of reinserted on me, hey, make your own living, make your own way. You can enjoy your life with someone, but don't expect, a man to kind of pave your way or anything like that. Just, do your thing.
And we do have some good filmmakers coming up. We have one, Jacqueline Bethany, who always puts to the roles for women in her movies. She's young, maybe 30 years old, and she's already made 4 features.
Yeah.
She's a real go-getter.
Yep.
So it's nice to see that. I would say that overall, though, we still see a lot more films submitted by men than we do women. The playing field's not leveled out yet. It's not 50-50 the way it should be.
Yeah.
So for any woman who's out there and thinking about it, go for it and make your movie. And, we still need to see more of your point of view.
Yeah. I definitely think, all the people at Magnolia, in general, but especially to the women, they're huge,
Yeah, Suzanne, Renee,
Mhm.
Michelle, they're all great.
Mhm.
There's a great team there. There's a great team at Stars.
Mhm.
Randy Wells is also a great captain of the ship. I know he's a man, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
But his wife was in the ground floor of Netflix and the ground floor of HBO and other companies. She's a real go-getter as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, thanks to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. We've really enjoyed this. And
Likewise.
yeah, thank
It's
you
a
for taking
pleasure.
time out. I know how busy you are and how many projects you guys always have going on. So yeah, thank you very much for taking the time.
Likewise. It was
Yes,
fun.
thank you. Nice to meet you both.
Have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bad girl with a good heart. Lost boy got a fresh start. And she's my
Our show's sponsor today is Roasted Luxury. And this coffee is so freaking good. I can't even begin to tell you. You'll never have to leave home again for coffee. And it's organic, fair trade, and small business, which we love. This is a good thing. They offer honey processed coffee, which means that the coffee is naturally sweeter. So you badass babes can add less sugar and have that second or third cup without the guilt, which we also love. Go to roastedluxury.com and use promo code BABES15 for 15% off your entire order. And you can feel good about helping a local business person who is also a badass babe. Yes. So thanks so much to Roasted Luxury for being our very first sponsor on Badass Babes of Entertainment. Hey guys, welcome to the Badass Babes of Entertainment. And we went to Malibu for a really cool event called Meet in Malibu. And we had a lot of fun interviewing some amazing badass babes out there and finding out some really interesting things about people that we met for the first time. Check it out. All right, welcome to the Badass Babes of Entertainment. I'm Brenda Fisher.
I'm Tara Newell.
And we are here with Lindell Whirling. And she is a wardrobe stylist, among other things. So welcome to the podcast, Lindell. And tell us about everything that you do.
I would love to, and I'm so excited to be here. I am a wardrobe stylist for entrepreneurs, executives, and everyday people, and I love it. It's one of those things that you make people feel more empowered, better about themselves, and the right people do invest in themselves. So the role is not just clothes, it's evolution.
Absolutely.
I love that.
That is amazing. So I know you said you do entrepreneurs. Do you do things for award shows or big premieres or that type of stuff too?
I do. Over the last few years, as obviously everybody knows, those events have kind of not been as prevalent, but I'm very fortunate because my target clients and the people I typically work with are female entrepreneurs. So their work didn't go away and they still needed to look good on Zoom and they still had Instagram content and YouTube content to create. So I still had work for them. And a lot of my clients are realtors as well, female realtors.
Oh, nice.
And that's a hard job looking good because you're doing open houses, you're lugging signs, you're trying to be representing your buyers, your sellers, and convey that you're approachable, intelligent, and certainly pulled together because you're helping them invest in some of their biggest things that they do.
Yes, I remember Annette Benning in that scene where she is a real estate agent and she's like down to her slip trying to vacuum in this house, and then she's got to put her suit back on and trying to get ready for this open house. And I was like, wow, you try to look good, but then you're doing things that are physical and trying not to wear your makeup off or, all those things because
The struggle is real, right?
It is. It is
Yes.
absolutely real. And as we get older, my favorite thing now is when I just start sweating for no reason, and then I'm like sweating from my head. I'm like, oh my God.
Kind of like
killing
today,
me.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's warm
yeah.
out here.
Yeah, especially when it's really hot and you're trying to look cute all day, and it's like you got to touch up your makeup, you got to have the right outfit. And I really could have used a wardrobe stylist for this event because this was a all white event. I'm like, I don't own anything white. What do I do? And I ended up going on Amazon and just going, I'll just grab a few things and
I did that
see what
too.
works.
I returned every single one of them.
Oh, you
White is a hard color.
It
Yes.
is a hard color.
It
And
is.
it's like, so this morning I'm like trying on things and I'm using my 20-year-old son to tell me whether or not he likes it or not. And the first thing I put on, he's like, no, thumbs down. So he picked out my outfit today. So he won't let me leave the house.
You bring up a really good point, which is for pulling yourself together. If you hear something that's not positive, it makes it even tougher. And that's some of the challenges that I think people face with their image, with their branding, is wanting to have that empowered feeling as they start. And when it's not what you're able to create or do it quickly, it can have a pour-over effect.
Definitely, and you start to get depressed, and then it's not as fun anymore, and you really don't want to do it. And when you're trying to look forward to an event, half the fun of it is getting dressed up for it.
Yes.
And trying to look your best and feel your best, because if you look good, you feel good, right?
That is true. That is true. And that's one of the reasons that wardrobe styling exists outside of the things that you reference, like award shows and pulling together films and things of that nature, because people want to feel good. And even one of the speakers here today was talking about dress a certain way, because if you're the only woman in the room, that is an important thing, that you have to be dressed appropriately. And sometimes we just don't realize that.
Right, because you're representing not just yourself, but you're representing all women when it really comes down to it, especially when we are the only woman in the industry, in the meeting, in whatever that you're doing, because then you're up against, a room full of men. And how are you going to stand up and stand in your power?
Right, exactly. And first impressions are so important. And in a room, if you're the only woman, one of the things you need to do is be taken seriously,
Oh, yes.
but also be approachable. And if you're wearing the wrong thing, you really are not going to have that effect at all.
Yep.
Did you ever watch the Anna Delvey series? Okay,
Yes.
so she used fashion to bring herself to a place and whatnot, and so I felt like that was how she was able to get by. And if you create that fashion sense, it's so amazing, and then people look at you a different way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, like you said as well, it can be fun. And when it's fun, you carry that energy forward. So it's a fun job. It's a job that's serious, and sometimes people don't think that. But I'm fortunate to be in this career, and one of the ways I was able to do it was figuring out what was important and kind of being differentiated. And that's another thing a wardrobe stylist can do, is differentiate you. And a lot of people want that, especially as an entrepreneur. They don't want to be like everybody else.
Yes, that's very true. Very true. So on our show, we always ask our guests to do a shout out to a badass babe in your world that has helped inspire you or lift you up. Who would you like to do a shout out for?
There are so many. It's hard to pick one. And I will tell you, my mom is one of those people, because when I started this business and got into this, she was honest with me. And my mom is self-made, the first person in her family to go to college. And so you look at the challenges that she was able to go through and achieve success, but still be honest and still tell me, these are the things you need to do. Like my first client, am I sending them an invoice? Is that what I do? And, those questions you don't want to ask somebody else who's already made it and they've gotten to where they're successful. You can't feel safe doing that. So she's always been there and been the one to send you the text, good luck today. Or my first fashion show that I coordinated, I'm like, Mom, can you be there?
Aww.
And of course she was, but it's I didn't know who else was going to be there and it turns out that's one of my favorite pictures I have. So for Mother's Day, I have that memory. And, in terms of being a badass, sometimes it isn't someone that you're going to see and know their name. But for me, that's really who it was. Keeping the family together, being inspirational, being loving, and being supportive. And in our lives, we don't, unfortunately, always have that many people that can fill that role.
Right, absolutely. And when you do have that, it's amazing, because most people don't have that. And I hear more stories of people not having that than having that. So
I'm blessed.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
I'm very grateful.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Gotta
Well,
be grateful.
You have to be. Absolutely. Well, I love your outfit, by the way. I love
Thank
your jacket.
you.
That's gorgeous.
Thank
So,
you.
Yes. So where do you find your inspirations for outfits? Do you like to, go to places that are off the beaten path, or?
One of the things that I love the most is going to vintage stores, and some of my favorite things that I've ever found have been things that have existed in prior decades. And I found a dress recently that the zipper was broken, but it was from the 70s. And I knew from a distance, like my eye just latched on to this piece because of the colors that were in it. And so sometimes those are the things I like the most. Something that's unusual, that's got a history to it. And I like to go to places like where sometimes the clothes are almost like costumes, because you can have a piece that's really a standout piece, and then you just put it with jeans and a t-shirt, or it's something that you cherish and you wear on a special occasion. So that's really been sort of my interest in clothing. And sometimes how this whole business started for me was people borrowing clothes. Like, you could come over to my house, and for any decade or any kind of party, oh, what do you need? No, what? Just let thumb through the hangers. Here you go. So I've always kind of liked and enjoyed that. And with respect to older pieces, before we could order clothes online like we do for Amazon,
right,
things were made better. So sometimes that's the aspect of it too. Just the quality of craftsmanship makes it feel special.
Yes, absolutely. And especially if it's kind of, one of a kind, and that
Indeed.
no one else is going to have it.
Indeed. And one of the other things, and it's hard to do, is not support the garment industry specifically, because
Right.
it's not one of the most healthy for the environment.
Yes.
So sometimes just letting a piece live on longer than maybe someone else chose to do, if you can rescue it and
Right.
prevent buying a new thing, that makes me feel good too.
Yes.
Much like rescuing dogs instead of, buying dogs, that's the same type of concept. As another little fluffy
Absolutely.
monster walks past us. This has been so much fun seeing all the doggos.
Yeah, there are some amazing pets that
Yeah.
I've seen
Yes.
just here alone
I
today.
know,
Yeah.
I love it. I
we get
love it.
very distracted by dogs.
We do.
Yeah.
We're both big dog lovers, so it's like we see kids, we're like, oh, they're cute, but if we see a dog, we lose our minds. So
I can understand.
yes. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being on the podcast today and sharing your information. And we look forward to seeing who else you're going to be styling out there and becoming a household name.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. It was wonderful to be here.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the Badass Babes of Entertainment. I'm Brenda Fisher.
I'm Tara Newell.
And we are here with Mallory Sacchi.
Hello, hello.
And she does a million things. She's a model, an actress, and working in influencing, SEO, you name it.
yes, I'm a professional digital marketer, and so I actually kind of do a lot of everything. I currently am actually working at Disney and ESPN, so I do just kind of boring ad sales for my normal job. But I do also run my own digital business, and so we do creator marketing, digital marketing, SEO, digital NFTs, blockchain technology explanations, and kind of breaking down your project management when it comes to anything digital and code, but also really supporting students from their academic journey and making sure that they're getting to the places they want to go after they graduate their first time from college.
I love
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
That is wild. You know what? You need to teach me some things because you just rattled off so many technical things, and I'm like, I think I need a class.
Yes, absolutely. I have to give my credit, though, to Miss America, starting me off very young. I kind of went on the platform of education and really being able to embrace that at an early age. And so I feel like that kind of like engulfed a lot of things into business and really being able to be an independent business owner and being able to figure out kind of what that network looked like at an early age, even though I necessarily didn't have the tools or the money or a car. But it was actually something for me that really changed. Was college. It was when I went to college, I finally got grades that were good because I was doing things I cared about
Right.
and also drawing the lines into other things that Miss America had taught me, my parents had taught me, and things that I genuinely felt that I was really great at. And so once I kind of got the hang into things, I started also following the interests of others. And so it really kind of started with Miss America, and then I had gotten other scholarships through that, and one of them being with KPMG and the PhD project. And so that introduced me to now a global level of academia, which I've never had that dream before, to get a PhD, but definitely in the cards. But I definitely also, too, in the meantime, really want to help students that are in those similar situations, because I think that also the journey to grad school and MBA, I'm sure you can relate, is not an easy one.
Nope.
And nobody ever told me I was going to get one. And then you're just like, yeah, that sounds like fun. And I think it's a really hard journey that I think a lot of people are really equipped to take, but aren't really necessarily confident enough to take.
Right. You're scared to do it, and then when you do it, you realize I'm doing exactly what I want to do in this program, and so you're so inspired and driven, and my master's degree was so much easier than my bachelor's.
Right? Nobody tells you that.
Yeah, and it's just because you've learned so much in the first 4 years, and then in your master's program, you're really honing in on what it is that you enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
And it just makes it so much more fun.
Absolutely. Now, where did you go to college?
I went to school in Seattle, so I went through the City University program.
Awesome. Same here as well. So I went to Minnesota State University, Mankato, and so I went there for my undergrad, and I actually even did, I like to call it my spin-off season. I had a obsession with Gossip Girl my freshman year that led me into taking summer classes at NYU. Okay. So, I mean,
Nice.
a little bit of Stern in there, but it was really this MNSU Mankato College of Business was really globally connected to other universities such as like Nebraska, University of Oregon, Seattle as well, and really had cool researchers that were working on the things like with Mark Zuckerberg and doing the things with PayPal back then.
Yeah.
And I thought that stuff was so cool, and I will never forget going to class one day and the rise of Bitcoin in 24 hours. I think that was something for me that I was like, I'm missing something here.
Yes.
People are making money on the internet and I'm missing it. And now that we're here with Web 3.0, it's crazy because Facebook actually is now paying creators to make their own content.
Right.
And I think that is one of the most revolutionary things that our economy is going to see, and especially repairing from everything that we just went through.
Right. Absolutely. And I absolutely love that, there are younger women out there that are just grabbing onto the new technology and understanding Bitcoin and NFTs and all these things being thrown at us, because we need strong women, with that technology and with that information, coming up through the ranks and representing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because the more you get involved in that stuff, the more opportunities there is for you. And I remember my mom putting me in all these like weird little after school programs that were like for science things. And I'm like, Mom, I do not want to go to this. I want to go hang out with my friends, or I want to go play soccer. And it was those things that made me really good at math and statistics. And now that I look back at my career, I'm like, that is really what brought me to marketing. It wasn't the art, it wasn't the glamour, it wasn't making these cool ads for Vogue or something, but it was really about being able to put together a story and having like the mathematical data behind it to prove it.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I think that that's all we're really asking for from creators too, is what do you guys have to prove from behind your business? And are your numbers proving it? Yes, they might be, but it's more so the algorithm now is shifting towards, are you really proving yourself? And you're going to be rewarded with that in the numbers. And so I think that with Facebook and blockchain technology as well, it's going to be a whole new concept for all of us. But what they really explained it in a nutshell, I was at their DC conference at the Chamber of Commerce last month. And so blockchain technology is really going to be the introduction of a box on the internet. So now we've really put everything into this box and haven't capped it. So now think about it as a yearly cap. We'll have kind of an archive, and once it's closed, it can never be opened again. And so that blockchain then just becomes almost a print in time. And necessarily we haven't ever done that before. And when you start to think about that, we're creating these digital books, and what is the physical realm going to be eventually?
Right.
Those are the things that keep me awake at night. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, I definitely stay awake thinking about TikTok, all those social media things. And there's so much. What is Web 3.0 for those people that don't know?
Actually, okay, so this is one of my favorite questions right now.
Okay.
Web 1.0 is Reed.
Okay.
And so that's your traditional 60s television when everybody went over the craze of your classic TV. And so then you get Web 2.0, which I like to describe as Y2K. My dad corrected me and said Y2K was not the internet, something completely different, but around then, same time. But that's when you have read, write, interact. So you have Microsoft Word, the introduction of Internet Explorer and Firefox, and then kind of how we know the internet today. Every 20 years they shift, and then it spends 5 years adjusting to the shift. We're in the middle of that shift right now, so you've got another 2.5 years to catch up.
Okay.
And then Web 3.0 is read, write, interact, and engage. So that's kind of what you see on Pokemon Go, for example. Or if you're ever on Amazon and you're buying something for your room and you put the image on your wall before you buy it. And so it's really being able to blend the walls in between the physical realm and putting it into this digital universe. But the question necessarily is, for me, as a PhD researcher, is if we're all going to be putting this information into the internet, who's going to be making the policies, who's going to be running it? And so I think that's definitely something we're going to be seeing too, is a lot of changes to the internet with Web 3.0. We're going to see actual laws that maybe we're not used to, but I think that it's also going to bring a lot more clarity to a lot more cyber crimes, especially when it comes to people hacking people so easily, especially, or child trafficking. And I think that those are the things that are definitely, that get scary when you kind of increase the availability of the internet.
Right.
But it's also really cool because when you think of blockchain technology, it is the only kind of technology product that can survive in different kinds of environments. So we can have one necessarily in America, and we can have 5 more factories in Africa, and all year round they're going to be producing the same results, rather than if we have a farm field here and a farm field in Africa, one's going to do better and the other's not. And so what I also predict is that it's also going to bring us a new realm and a new door to African culture, and bringing business back to kind of the Middle Eastern area of the world. But I think that's another 5 to 10 years down the road. But Web 3.0 is really just going to be that open door access of being able to have everything all at once. And I think it's the most overwhelming thing as a researcher when you really think about it, that there's been, 2022 years before us and whatever time before that.
Right.
And for this 20 years of time, we've had the internet and been able to talk to China at the same time that we can talk to London. And that blows my mind. So imagine what we can do in the next 75 years of our lives, and like what we can all create with a movement that's kind of driven towards equality. And that for me is always kind of that Pangea underlying effect of where are we going to be in 10 more years, trying to really gravitate towards one another across kind of the countries, across digital realms, and really being able to build kind of this united front as a world, and maybe, as a universe.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you said you were involved in the Miss America
Yes.
So I'm assuming that you were a contestant.
Yes, Miss Minnesota I think it was like 2014, all the way to 2018 until I moved out here.
Wow.
Yes. And I do actually even have hopes of doing Miss California. I have 2 more years before I officially age out, so I am thinking I may or may not go back for one last hurrah.
Yes.
But Miss Minnesota was definitely one of the coolest experiences. I got to do it while they still had swimsuit. And actually, one of our Miss Minnesotas, Gretchen, she actually won Miss America, and now works for Fox. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. And so that has been a really cool experience for just getting inside of like classrooms and being involved with like the community a little bit deeper at a younger age.
Right.
And in ways you never thought that you could be. And also asking random people for money to like raise money. And I never thought that was weird at that time, but now I realize like how difficult of a thing that is to do. And I mean, when you're 14, it's a lot easier, but it really does get you to think different ways of, okay, if I make 300 bracelets, we can raise enough money to get this kid to go to school.
Right.
And those were the things that mattered back then when life was simple. But I think that program is so amazing to just teaching girls like how to really represent yourself in a really confusing world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're so well spoken, and it's that's so impressive that I'm
Thank you.
oh wow,
Absolutely.
we need more young people like you out there that are can show young girls growing up that this is what a badass looks like.
Absolutely.
And that's what you should strive to be.
Absolutely. And I love your guys' name, Badass Business, because it's so funny. It was after I think we graduated from my undergrad, me and my friend Sydney, We were out at her parents' house just coming up with all these business ideas, frustrated that we just lost college and wanting to get back to whatever life we had. And so trying to figure out, okay, if we're going to make a business, what are we going to do?
Right.
And the only idea we came up with was the name. And it was called Babs. And it was badass business. So
Nice.
I really love the name here, and it's good energy for sure.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And I know that you were talking about Miss America and that type of thing, but we would like you to do a shout out to a badass babe in your world that has helped inspire you and lift you up.
Absolutely. Well, if it isn't for these two lovely ladies sitting in front of me, I would have to say a big shout out to Megan and Megan, who are running this wonderful event here at Modern Day Wife.
Yes.
But honestly, the biggest one I would really have to say is shout out to my mother.
Yes.
She is my number one, and really just, you know what, taught me things get hard, but the longer you're having fun and not giving up is the better things turn out. And honestly, that's been some great advice. And so one of the badass women that I know is my mom and my fierce sister.
Aw,
I love that.
Absolutely. What about you guys?
Moms are the best. I mean, ultimately, you know, I know that my work ethic and my my strength definitely comes from my mom.
Absolutely.
I love her, but she doesn't have the best picker.
What about badass celebrities? What are your guys' top two picks?
Oh gosh. Well, I love Reese Witherspoon and the fact that she
yes.
has Hello Sunshine, her production company. I love Jennifer Garner just because she's a great person, a great mom. She doesn't take herself seriously. She's always funny.
And
just
never
real.
cries. Never cries, even through all this J-Lo bull crap. I mean, hands down, Jennifer Gardner, I think you just took the words out of my mouth. 13
Yes.
going on 30, ultimate favorite movie.
Yes.
Literally
Yes.
my first PG-13 movie I watched when I was like 7.
Yep.
And then when I got to college, my roommate and I were so obsessed with it. And now it's my life.
Yeah.
I love it.
When my son was like little, he was like 3, he would call her, he wanted to watch The Dancing Girl, and that was that movie. He wanted to see her do the Thriller dance.
Yes.
Yep. The Dancing Girl. Yep. And then it was so funny because he got to work with her. He had a small part in one of her films called The Tribes of Palos Verdes. And
I have seen that movie.
yes, he's the little creeper that's looking at boobs and trading for a surfboard.
No
So
way.
proud.
That's
so
so
proud.
awesome.
But the greatest thing was at the table read. She came up and gave him a hug, and I was like, you know what? She's a class act. She really is.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think that's something that has been really interesting for me since I've moved here is really this kind of relationship through somehow I have had the honors of absolutely meeting them, and they are wonderful people. But Megan Fox and Sharna Burgess, nobody is talking about their co-parenting skills right now, and I think it is something that is really unique and not a lot of families actually go through right now. And kind of seeing that being played out in the media, and then also let alone having Sharna as one of our event guests, and then I am also pretty good friends with Brian as well, and just being able to see that whole thing play out so well in the media
Right.
is really interesting because I don't know, you just don't see families such as Jennifer Gardner like being so protective of everything that their kids are going to see. And I think that is what's so amazing about some of these badass women here in LA is they're not necessarily afraid to be the mama bear. They're not necessarily afraid to, you know, put the pants on when they need to. And I think that's one of the best things about growing up in this time period is like women are allowed to wear pants, skirts. I mean, man, no pants if you don't want to. But it's all about doing anything you want to do. And I think that is something that all of these women makes them more badass. And I think personally for me, like continuing to up my badass levels, it's always challenging myself for something that seems a little scary, something that seems a little, I don't really know, and trying to figure out, okay, if it wasn't the best decision, why? And then if it is a decision, then you know what? Feel every second of it and accept it for what it is, and really just being able to feel those moments, because I think COVID really kind of took that away from us, and we're not necessarily in those moments as much as we used to be. And I think that's what's really going to come kind of in this rise too, with especially Web 3.0. I think a lot of things are going to be imported into the internet, and hopefully we can externalize our feelings.
That is everything that you said is like spot on. So,
Absolutely.
yes. So, Mallory Saki, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining
This
us.
was so fun. You guys were so great.
Yes. Definitely stay in touch.
Absolutely. We definitely will. And you guys were absolutely so cool. And I definitely would love to help introduce you guys to Web 3.0.
Hey, we're down for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
This episode was produced by me, Megan Ketz.
And me, Brenda Fisher.
Thanks to our Grammy-nominated sound engineer, Herman Villacorta. We have another amazing guest next week, so be sure to listen. If there's a topic you would like us to cover, message us on Instagram at Babes of Entertainment, also on Facebook, Babes of Entertainment, and on Twitter, Babe_podcast.
And now TikTok, Babes of Entertainment on TikTok. Woo, woo, woo. This podcast was produced by RSA Entertainment and Rogue Matter. Join the movement. Go Rogue.
Bad girl with a good heart. Lost boy got a fresh start. And she's my gasoline. Slick chrome on the Mustang. Drop top, no we don't play. 'Cause I'm her nicotine.